Welcome to another episode of Aligning Authenticity, where we talk about all things mental health. So I'm Alia, and we have Brendan here.
Hi everyone.
Thanks for joining us
Of
today.
course, yeah.
The first time I actually met Brendan was at the mental health first aid course that we both were at, and we just kind of started connecting and chatting a little bit more about mental health, like, because that's why we were there, right?
First aid, first aid.
First aid,
How
yes.
to take care of others, including yourself.
Yes, including ourselves, right? Let the audience know a little bit more about yourself
For
and
sure, yeah. My name is Brandon. Like Alia said, we met in a mental health first aid course. I'm an athlete, coach, an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist. But I think today we're just going to focus on the philanthropic side of things. So let's not keep the guests overwhelmed with things. This is
we'll
alcohol.
just invite him for another episode.
My passion into mental health started more on my uncle who had schizophrenia. That kind of ignited my passion, and the struggles he faced really inspired me to go out there and seek for help for him, for myself, and for the rest of my family, and after that my friends.
Yeah.
But after him, there's also issues facing with myself. I went through like body dysmorphia. Self-image wasn't very good. Confidence level was not very great. So that in itself was, in the first instance, I didn't know it was even an issue
Yeah.
to begin with. So these two are kind of like the mental health issues that kind of struck my passion into opening up a movement called Miles for Minds.
Yeah,
It's fitness combining with mental health advocacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
But maybe as a start, right? Can we like talk a little bit more about how your experience was when it came to having your relative go through that condition, right? Because
sure,
times
yeah.
were very different back then.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just keen to hear.
I think what really happened with my uncle was I think this was about almost a decade-ish ago. He was living with us, so about 3 years. He was supposed to be my caretaker and also kind of like a driver kind of thing. My mom didn't want him to be alone, so he was living in Sabah. We were in Labuan, so I was raised in Labuan for a bit,
Right.
and my mom then brought him over to give him like a sense of belonging, and she knew particularly that he needs some form of I think some sense of involvement out there,
Yeah.
a belonging, a purpose. So that's why he came back. You know what? Come take care of my kids, which was me and my younger brother. So when he started living with us, I started seeing it's a bit strange. He would start walking around the house, start talking to himself at times. But things would get worse if he didn't take his meds.
Yeah.
But if he takes, he's like the nicest guy on earth on one end. On the other end of the spectrum, he could be the most violent guy on earth. And that's a bit scary
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So living with him was an eye opener for me, but also there was a lot of stigma for me.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to talk to him. I was judging him a lot. I just thought like, oh, he's just a crazy guy. He's a madman.
Yeah.
Which I still think he is, but it's just that I think right now I understand it a bit more. With all the with being involved out there and being more involved in all the educational awareness that all these NGOs provide,
Yeah.
and people like yourself, advocating and like sharing about what we can do to address all of these issues. So back then and right now to compare, I think I would feel that back then a lot of stigma, a lot of judgment against people like him.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to approach these kind of guys, people in that kind of situation, which is why I went to the mental health first aid course anyway.
Yeah.
To understand a little bit about people like that and also how to address these kind of issues and approach the best way to approach it. And honestly, since going to that course, I still don't know the best way. It's still quite tough. You still, I mean,
It's like a whole framework
yeah,
we
yeah.
learned,
they
right?
show us a theory, but on paper, it looks very nice, right? But when you ask me to do that thing again, where like as my uncle is right beside me, I'm not even sure how am I supposed to approach, because this is more of a best fit approach. It's not like a best practice, I think.
Yeah.
So, and it also entirely depends on the person,
Mm.
on you and how the other person is. Um, it's good practice, I think, how they put that, convey
Yeah.
that message. I think it's still good. But when the time comes, I do need to try it on my own. But I don't have a guinea pig, right, to try that. It's like,
You never know though. You
can
never
you?
know sometimes what some people are going through.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but I love what you've just shared, because I find that even for me as a counselor, right? Like I remember when I went for that course, some people were kind of looking at it as like, hey, why are you going for this? Like you should already
Yeah.
know some of it. But I think it was actually really helpful for me to, because we learn about the techniques
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think really knowing about the experience itself.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, if you are with a relative that has bipolar compared to someone who has schizophrenia, you're gonna have very different experiences with that. When you first are facing it, or and for you, I think it's a bit more heightened because you were still youngish.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still young now. You were younger then, right? Did you know that he had that condition?
I think when I was younger, schizophrenia equals to all crazy mental health illness, issues or illness. So whatever, when it comes to depression, anxiety, I would feel like I would just group them all together.
Mm.
But now I'm more like they are series
They
of
have different flavors.
different flavors.
I would say,
It's like Malaysian
different
cuisine, is it?
flavors. Yeah.
I would say like it's more on like to what extent or how serious is the issue. Like, and schizophrenia is probably one of the highest one on top of there, lah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's him, right? I'm sure he wants to be a great guy. It's just there's voices in his head,
Yeah.
and sometimes he talk to himself, and he's done a lot of bad stuff as well. Sometimes he'll get lost, out of nowhere. He'll do some random stuff. He got lost in Australia once with the rest of my family for like a few weeks, So that was very, very dangerous. So stuff like that. So it's a bit also very concerning. If he were to be left alone
Yeah.
without taking meds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like your mom also was trying to provide that social support. That means like have him come and take care of you. When would you say, or maybe was one of the first few moments that you were like, oh, something doesn't seem quite normal of the behavior?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I think one vivid moment that I can remember is him talking to himself in a dark room, and it was quite loud as well. So I thought there was someone there. When I came into the room, and when you're young, you're just curious who you're speaking to. He was just speaking to himself alone in the mirror, looking himself in the mirror, which was I don't think it's a normal thing. Maybe if you're practicing yourself, like public speaking, then like like me, like speaking in the mirror. But I think in this case, that's when I knew something was wrong.
Okay.
But that also didn't invite me to go and find out what is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, something's wrong. But I just left it there. So that's why the stigma,
right?
yeah, and then the
Sometimes
stigma,
you're just like, okay, I don't completely understand these adults, but all right,
yeah. So the stigma was very high, and how my mom treated him, and how my whole family and I treated him when he didn't take his meds also was it's not that great. Actually, we were just like, oh, we need to maintain our distance. We were a bit scared as well because he does get quite violent at times. But like I said, when he takes his medicine, he's very nice. Takes care of us. He'll drive, and I remember him buying me and following me to buy an iPod last time. Those small iPods. Last time was such a great time, and after that he moved with us to KL as well. So he took care of us for quite a while, and after that, then he moved back to Sabah. A bit more story on him is that he passed away a few years ago. We're not sure actually what happened to him. So he was actually living in a flat alone. So I guess something would have happened, and that time was during COVID period. An electrician went to his place and actually did this, smelled something a bit funny. So actually they found his body on the floor, and then they couldn't do a post-mortem as well. So it was just a bit unaddressed. So we don't know what happened to him. He could have had COVID for all we know. Something could have happened. So we had to bury him right away. So that's when I kind of triggered me to open that movement actually, along with what I went through. So all these kind of experiences that I had. But obviously he's the one that actually he's one of my biggest why of how I've been living my life, from fitness to business, and how I approach all these complications in terms of mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for being as open about it, because it's a very real thing. Like, I think that for people to actually one, you don't know how to react. to
Yeah.
it, right? And then you might also think that there's always time or whatnot, and then suddenly one day something else might happen because sometimes they might also need some adjustments to the meds, like in terms of the levels of whichever meds that they're taking, because that can also affect them. It's like when they take it, then they don't really like the physical reactions to it, and then
Yeah.
they stop. Was that the same for your uncle?
It could very well be. So he
Mm.
doesn't like taking the meds, just feels weird with it.
Mm,
Um, and we always have this thing called Bukit Padang
okay.
in Sabah. Bukit Padang is basically the mental health hospital, the only mental health, and it's
Mm,
where all the guys are there. So
mhm,
we'll say, we're just gonna bring you to Bukit Padang. If you don't
mm,
take your meds, so no, no. So sometimes he'll just take his meds,
mm,
and it's just sometimes we do have to call the police as well.
mm,
When he doesn't want to take his meds to
yeah.
like trigger that. So he always sees us as like his enemy,
Mm,
like we are the bad guys who's gonna put him away,
mm,
basically. So it's not very nice as well. So we didn't know how
mm,
to approach
yeah.
that. On the medicine wise, we're no doctors, so
Yeah.
just listen to, if you would have this advice from someone there. But like I said, it was quite hard,
Mm,
to get like advice on that
mm,
front. And usually we just leave it all to the mental health hospital lah. And there was
mm,
only one in Sabah. And one of the issues that I think Sabah has is the quality of mental health services.
yeah.
All the professionals from Sabah is in KL,
Mm,
is in the West.
yeah.
They all move here because I guess it's like pay grades not that great there,
Mm,
living conditions not the best there. So here
yeah.
it's more opportunities for them. So that's also
Right.
a bit horrifying.
But even here, it's
Mm,
not too different in terms of psychiatrists. Like one fact that I share with people, right, is that
mm.
even in Klang Valley area, I think there's like maybe less than 20 who are in the public service.
Oh,
So
okay. I
so
not aware of that.
yeah, so that's why when they go to the public hospital or
Mhm.
whatnot, right? Like let's say you're going for a certain condition, every time you go, there's a very high chance that you're meeting a different psychiatrist. The only thing that's the same is the case report, right?
I
Like
see.
they,
Aren't
they
aren't you
just like,
supposed to have one psychiatrist for the
yeah,
whole time?
but it's not the same for everyone, but
Mm.
you have a higher chance of better care if it's private. But at the same time, private, we know lah how the cost is like.
Very
So
expensive.
the reality for a lot of them who go through the public service kind of approach is where they spend months
Mm.
before they can actually go and get diagnosed. And if you always have someone who is changing, right? Like every time you're meeting a different doctor, then it doesn't occur to them that, hey, to tell the doctor, for example, like,
Mm.
I'm feeling a certain kind of way. Is there something off with the meds? For your uncle, at least, when he was going through it, do you think that it was also a very uncomfortable process for him? Imagine if we are in his situation.
I would imagine so. It'd be very uncomfortable for him, especially you're surrounded by your loved ones, your family, and they want to put you away. I guess that's just a very horrible place. So he doesn't feel safe anywhere, I think.
Mm.
Um, and I guess if you were in his position as well, we won't feel safe. And that
Yeah.
I don't think he's in the right environment for him to go through what he's going through,
Yeah, yeah.
especially with schizophrenia. You've already reached your limit, and then your environment is not not alleviating it. It's we're actually making him worse. And I think I'm one of the culprits, lah. I judge him a lot. I was he's a crazy guy.
But
You know.
to be fair, and I'm not saying it just to make you feel better, I think that that in itself, especially if you're talking about many, many years ago, the stigma was so much stronger.
Yeah.
So the fact that he even went, or there was that family support to go and get that help, right? I think that's amazing, because
Yeah.
especially when we talk about men's mental health. Did you ever hear stuff like he didn't really believe he had it? Because that happens, right?
Yeah. I
The
think he
more
was quite
severe.
naive. He said like, I'm not crazy.
Okay.
But we all knew he was crazy, right?
He
I'm
was.
not even sure why I'm laughing, but he said he's not crazy, and he's always saying a bit of crazy stuff as well. Like
Okay.
he said one time, he said, "Oh, I met Justin Bieber."
Mm,
I was like, "Really? How
mm,
was he?" I'll just start all these conversations with him because these are the
mm,
kind of conversations that actually he likes to have as
mm.
well. So sometimes you just play along with it.
Layan lah.
Yeah, play along with it.
Layan. Okay.
And like I said, like he's just a nice guy on one end, but on the other end is can be the most dangerous person on earth. But one of my biggest lesson learned is, I think schizophrenia. It's very very still a lot of stigma against that.
Yeah.
And I would still say that I don't know how to approach them when the time comes, when someone with schizophrenia, I'm approaching them. But I think I understand a bit more better, less judgment, perhaps as a way for me to, you know, what I went through with my uncle is just very, very, it was very different back then.
Yeah.
And right now, if let's say if he's here right beside me, I think I would be able to approach it
You
with
went for the
him.
training also. You can test, you said.
I think it's not just the training. I think because you lost him and, grieving over a loss. And
Yeah.
I think the term is you never really know what's there for you until it's gone.
Yeah.
What you have until it's gone. I think that's a proper term, right? So I think when we lost him, we were just a bit, one point we were like a bit relieved that, he's in a better place because he's just struggling a lot. But on the other end also, we do like kind of miss him because he's the youngest of the family, my mom's youngest brother. And we all cared for him a lot. So yeah, these are some of the lessons I took from him lah. So yeah, this one of the things he said is like success then doesn't have to come at the expense of mental health. I hear that those words coming to me at like almost every day. So try to integrate wellness within us every day, within me, trying to make it within a family, business as well.
Yeah.
And wellness is a very broad spectrum, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to just wellness, but his issues really sparked that conversation about mental health on that front lah. So yeah.
So that was the first kind of trigger, you'd say. Like, was it where you were like, oh, okay, now I have to learn a bit more about mental health, or was it more of like looking inwards?
I think it's more on, yes, I need to learn more about mental health, like schizophrenia, and look more about all the other issues like bipolar. And to be fair, I still don't know all of them because there's so many issues out there. But I think I was more self-aware of myself. I think I try to journal, if not every day, like every week, like what I went through throughout the week. Was I angry? Was I happy? And I also try to be more grateful, um, grateful in life, like basically, with all the like a few words of gratitude, like food on my plate, water to drink. There's a lot of people who don't have places to live.
Yeah.
Like people in Palestine.
Yeah.
So those are also kind of some of the issues that I'm looking towards. All of those issues as well, which also cause mental health issues throughout the world, right? People in Palestine.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it breaks people's hearts. So I think being self-aware, but also spreading that message around others and seeing what others went through also is a bit wow.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, body language around people as well.
Yes.
I think it's good to understand your friends. Sometimes you know something is wrong, and I think it's you have a role to play to like go and check up on your friend or your family. But sometimes also you don't know, right? The worst ones are the ones that keep very quiet and they look very happy.
Yes.
So how do you then approach these kind of guys? Is also another conversation to have. But I think it's always good to just speak to them when you can and share what you went through. I think this would really spark a lot of conversations.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think really the pandemic just blew things wide open because there were people who didn't even know what mental health was. They didn't think it was really a thing. Some people I know also is where they actually went for the mental health first aid courses because when I was like posting about how I was going for this course, I was so surprised to hear that there were a few of them that have actually went for it before.
Yeah.
And then I asked them, I said, why did you go for it? They're like, because seeing how people were during that time, we just didn't know how to handle it. So sometimes it's not so obvious, yet you kind of sense that something is off, right? Share a little bit more about what your journey has been like with the body image.
I think it started about 6-7 years ago. My fitness journey started lah. Let's go back to my fitness journey. It started about a decade ago. I was a fat kid, probably on the more the obese side. I was about almost 100 kilos.
Okay.
So back then, didn't have any girlfriends. Kid trying to like go and impress the girls, or we go on the internet see what's everyone doing. So this thing called bodybuilding, right?
Okay.
oh wow, you see Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's like, oh, so
You
big.
assume, yeah,
You
oh,
see him like this double flex
should be able-
biceps. It's
all I
like,
need to flex
yeah,
is
yeah.
the girl will come
With
to
all
me.
the guys. Those are like, I think it was like 1960s, 70s, the top bodybuilders, and after that there'll be the 90s as well. So those are the kind of people that kind of like inspired me back
Okay.
then, my journey. So I then tried to do more training, sign up to a local gym. It was good, like seeing a lot of gains. That's what they call it, right? Gains, muscle last time.
No pain, no gain,
Yeah.
right? And all those like bacho memes come out.
Yeah. So try to after that, then you start doing more research how you be a better bodybuilder. Then you come into this thing called diet, right? Nutrition, which plays a big part in muscle building, right? The more protein you eat, you get this, the top 10 foods, eat a lot of eggs, eat a lot of vegetables.
Is it true though? I heard that eggs don't really have as high a protein content as like, meat and as in beef and
I think
fish.
eggs is one of the best foods out
the
there. I
best.
mean, among the macronutrients,
Okay.
like all the vitamins are in there, right?
I've been
The egg yolk.
misinformed lah. My friend said that eggs don't have enough
If-
protein content or whatever compared to other stuff.
I mean, well, I think that what they're referring to is protein to calorie ratio.
Okay.
If you want like less calories but more protein, then that's like the chicken breast side of
Oh.
things. So yeah, going back to that protein, chicken breast. So I eat a lot of chicken breast. So dry, right? It's like munching all day. I think I had about 300 grams of protein. So I'll eat chew at least 600 grams of chicken breast every day. 10 years ago. Yeah.
Fun fact, right? Hugh Jackman for
Yeah.
Wolverine, that was literally all he ate.
Yeah.
Like steamed chicken breast,
I can imagine.
Non-stop. And then even Channing Tatum, that's why he didn't want to do Magic Mike 3 because he was like, it's just too much effort. It's not just the bodybuilding, it's the diet or the nutrition, right?
Yeah.
It's like he didn't want to go through that process again, right?
Yeah.
But how was it for you? So yeah.
Yeah, so like on the diet end, I think started getting into diets and just getting it very serious. I think too serious at one point that so I start seeing a lot of six packs but on the mirror I see a fat kid still. So it's a bit strange, everyone's like, oh, you're looking really good, like, but I look in the mirror, it's like fat kid. Like still seeing that fat kid lah. I think it's a bit that body image issues. And also because of that, during that time there was a lot of social media going on. You see a lot of ripped guys, and these are not that great for my mental health, I think. Seeing other guys, comparing myself to others also is a very, very bad thing. And then you think to yourself like, oh, very, very wary of a diet. So that kind of made me avoid social situations, like social activities. Going out with friends, I'll try to avoid it.
Yeah.
Because I just want to diet, right? I want to eat at home. And I'll just stay at home. Which also equals to more being depressed, right? Because you don't go out, you don't have a social life, which I would argue like it's one of the most important things in mental health, having a good balanced social life. So that's when I realized like something's wrong. Avoiding social situations and like every food I eat, every diet food that I eat, I would crave for like a McDonald's and I would like say no to myself. So that's when I knew like something was wrong. But I actually didn't know what really went wrong until 2 years ago actually.
Okay.
Because when I start getting to know about all these educational stuff on mental health, that's when I knew I had like what do you call that? Eating disorder. Yeah, an eating disorder. And also like I think it's like I said, a body image issue lah. When I was in uni, I would diet so much, and then like when it comes to a point that I would actually purge the food out. I'll vomit it out.
So bulimia. Yeah.
I think somewhat that, but not very, very. I don't think it's that bad. But it's still bad because there are some instances where I would
You
puke
had a
out the food.
gateway, basically.
I
Yeah.
think so I would diet and like there was one point where I remember I had 3 large pizzas by myself, and I was like stuffing food in my throat a lot. So I think that was a phase during university lah. But after that, when I moved to Singapore, and I was working in Singapore.
Okay.
Then I started seeing things more differently. Got introduced to the world of marathon. And more functional sports instead of just bodybuilding and how you appear. So that really transitioned my fitness life from how I look to how I feel and how I perform. So performance rather than aesthetics, which currently right now I'm kind of living by that mantra instead of just how you look.
Yeah.
So Then after the marathon, I think I got introduced to more CrossFit, High Rocks, and then you have things like Redline coming in, which all are very good for you, instead of just bodybuilding. But I think one lesson that I've learned also is like I'm no professional bodybuilder, and I was thinking I'm a professional. That's why I need to avoid all these social situations. I think it was a very tough conversation to have with myself.
Okay.
It's like you shouldn't avoid all these things because you're not a pro athlete. You're not like a pro bodybuilder. And if it doesn't make you happy, then what's the whole point? You're supposed to enjoy the whole process of it. And I
Yeah.
didn't really enjoy it anymore. So I think that I had like a very toxic relationship with food. Even with bodybuilding, I was working 3 hours a day, which is really bad actually because you cannot sustain it for so long. Instead, right now I opt for like working an hour a day with what you can. Longevity is much better, for your joint.
Sustainable.
Sustainable. Last time was like, oh, wreck my body, let's go. Then as I grow older now, it's like I don't think that's the way to go, lah. Because you still want to be able to train when you're 70. I want to run a marathon when I'm like 80, hopefully. This kind of thing instead of just looking in the mirror. So those are some of the lessons that I've learned, lah. Yeah.
Okay, when you're going for it like 3 hours a day, right? And
Yeah.
some people they'll go at it, and then when some others are also pointing out to them, hey, maybe you like to slow down, they take it up as more of a challenge, right? And they double down further. They're like, oh,
Actually, that was me. Actually, yeah. That was me. That was a very ego, especially among men. Men tend to see like, oh, the whole point of being a man, actually, I don't know, among all of us men is like, oh, I can beat you for sure. Let's do this, But I don't see that much of I don't want to have that. It's more of like I need to beat myself more, like
Yeah.
be better than who I was yesterday instead of me comparing, because comparing yourself to other people.
Going as hard as you did with it. Do you think that is because you think that's what it feels to be a man? For women, it could be beauty. So it's not just about being fat, not fat, whatnot. They also have like all how your skin looks, your fashion, whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for men, I feel that it's more on, okay, how much I earn
Mhm.
and am I macho or not? It's less variety in that sense,
Yeah.
It's either you are macho or you are not. So do you think that was also, it had a part to play basically in what
Yeah.
kind of kept you going like that, right? Like I want to be a man,
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with masculinity, how I wanted to be masculine, and going to the gym helped me achieve that. I think, and also I felt very good during that time, lah. Moving your body is like one of the best medicines out there. So yeah, bodybuilding, it's a bit different. I still do bodybuilding now. It's just don't just go 100% anymore. Like focusing on other sports like
Yeah.
running and CrossFit. But yeah, going back to that masculine part, I think maybe I just wanted to be masculine and show. Like I said, the whole point of me starting was wanted to impress the girls, right? So is to show them like, oh yeah, I'm masculine. Yeah, I have 8-pack abs, you know. Yeah, but that wasn't how I felt. Like, I said I wanted to have 8 packs abs, and I had it, although I didn't feel it that way. But other ladies said he has six-pack abs, but I would be looking at myself in the mirror. It's like I look like shit, So it's a very bad image to have. And then you're always like, oh, how do I achieve this physique? How do I achieve that physique? See on social media. So it's a vicious cycle for me when I was going through that phase, lah.
It sounds like there was quite a bit of critical self-talk in the
Yeah.
background. Would you say that that was the case?
Yeah. Critical self-talk. Definitely not being very aware, I think. Like I said, that self-awareness. Going back to that, my uncle, that drive to self-awareness. But this is also more on like, how do I feel after eating? Am I full enough? Do I need to eat more? How do I feel after I work out? What do I want to achieve? Is it aesthetics? Is it you want to reach a specific goal during a marathon? So it's really transition from, oh, I don't have 8-pack abs right now. And right now I can say for sure I don't have 8-pack abs, right? Sometimes I just have to let loose, and like I'm also balancing a lot of things right now. So comparing from before and now, it's that critical self-talk. Definitely I'm juggling a lot of things, and it's not possible to be going through very strict diet
Mm.
and going through 3 workouts a day. I still work out, just don't.
Yeah, because you're also a fitness trainer, right?
Yeah.
So it's naturally part of the job.
It is naturally part of the job. And I like to think that being a coach is, I cannot be fat, you know? It's like, if I'm fat, for that, I'm telling you, do your sit-ups, you know? It's a bit, yeah, you know what I mean?
In the culinary industry, it's like they say, don't trust a skinny chef, right?
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. So, like right now is what can I achieve? What's my purpose? Going to the gym, am I gonna harm myself? You know, am I gonna like go hard? 20 minutes only, right? Let's keep it short. Let's do this, let's achieve this. We have a CrossFit competition which I'm
Yeah.
currently gonna compete end of the month.
Mhm.
So yeah, just aesthetics don't really concern me anymore. It's nice to look good, but it's better to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have this term called feel good business. So it's part of my philosophy. We are in the feel good business. I am in, and I believe you are in as well because you are spreading this very joyful. We're in this realm of mental health, and like all of the things that I do is that forms the foundation of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it comes down to also like not wanting people to really struggle or suffer more than they have to. You know, so I think that with mental health awareness also it's just being aware because it's like it's small things, right? Like what we think are small things, like knowing how you feel and really kind of seeing your responses to things like how it was for you. But a lot of people, like I said, okay, doubling down or pretending it's not there. It sounds like, okay, you picked up journaling and you really identified, the point where it was starting to get unhealthy for you. So
Yep.
aside from journaling, what else do you think helped you? Like you
Yeah.
talk with your bros and you're telling them, this is how I feel, all of that. I'm very curious to know the initial reactions that you get from that.
From me opening up about
Oh yeah,
my issues.
to men in particular. Like they may not know how to
Yeah.
respond.
I think for men is always start off with sports first. Sports, business, politics, put that out there first. It's very interesting. It's a very easy topic to go through. We read a lot and we watch a lot of football, so that's usually how we start a conversation. And then once you start getting it clicked, so that's when I'll get more personal and talk about. But I also have to see who I am. For
Yeah.
me, who I am, who's that beside me, in front of me. It's you have to have a certain level of trust and that connection, and that's
Thank you
when.
so much for coming to share your story.
Of course, yeah.
It will be so helpful for people.
Yeah. So that trust, I think, is important. And once I establish that trust, now open up about my
Yeah.
issues, especially if he or her needs to hear it,
Mm.
and then I'll start opening up. And because you want to save as much life as you can and
Yeah.
enhance much life as we can, for all you know that he or she might be going through something, and your story might inspire him or her, to live another day. Gotta appreciate the people around you. Yeah, so that's how I actually approach with men. I think there's still a lot of stigma, definitely is, and sometimes among other men, I must admit, I do not open up with them because there's just not a great space. Like I said, that's that level of trust. So it's kind of like I don't have that trust to like open up. So I think that stigma as well is a lot, and like you said, there's a lot of masculine energy around men.
Yeah.
But you can find that actually, since we're on this topic, that women tend to be more masculine than men actually.
Nowadays lah.
The energy, yeah, and then men are more
independent.
more feminine. So it's like a different thing ongoing on, and I think it's good to have both. But I think the issue comes when men become too feminine and exceeds their masculinity.
Right.
I think that's an issue. I think because as a man, you're supposed to like be masculine. You're supposed to take care of people, take care of one another. But when you're just very very feminine, I think the issue would start be very very different.
Okay.
I think
Right.
Yeah. What do you think? Yeah.
That's interesting. I would think that at least for women, and at the risk of me stereotyping, I don't know if this is like a generation thing. At least at my guy friends or whatnot, right? I would see them, okay, they hang out, they bro out, whatnot, but they don't necessarily always talk about what they feel, So it's a very select few of them that would. You
Yeah,
know, but for the women, it just comes more spontaneously, right? The
for
moment they
sure.
feel something, they straight away call their girlfriend, whatever, and then they talk about it, how they feel, whatnot. So, and I think in the first place also is even the definition of what it means to be masculine or feminine.
Yeah,
People think it's more of a gender thing when
no,
it's really
it's
it's
not.
not. Yeah, it's
It's not.
more
Yeah,
about
yeah.
how much you're
It's
protecting
how you
or
express yourself,
yes.
how you go
Yeah.
on the day to day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So I think that if anything, at least what I see is where a lot of them are still in the process of figuring themselves out, you
Yeah,
know.
I
So
think aren't we
um
all
yeah.
figuring ourselves
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
No
But
matter
I
what
think
age
that
we
when
are. Yeah.
you're at the start of it,
Yeah.
you go to the extreme,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you find your balance. Like let's say for you, it's like you first felt that you were not fit, and then you straight away gun towards I want to be super fit
Yeah.
before you find your balance with it. So I think it's kind of similar when it comes to this masculinity or femininity. Maybe they felt they couldn't really express themselves until they're in the workplace or so, then it comes out.
Yeah. I think on my end, I tend to have both
Okay.
a lot because I was raised by a mom, by a mom, right?
Mhm.
And she raised me and my younger brother, so that feminine energy is a lot, but also that my mom was had to portray like as a father as well because my dad and my mom they split up. I feel like she's more of a dad to me, my mom, because she's that woman who's like in the corporate, front facing, you know, and she'd be sitting around with a bunch of men. And she also will speak to me about sports,
Yeah.
politics, you know. So she plays big role in how I view things, in that definition of
Yeah, yeah.
feminism and masculinity, lah.
And she was playing that not just the caretaker role, but also the earning lah.
Yeah,
Earning,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, and that really, I think that's one of also the biggest lessons, or like the biggest my biggest inspiration is my mom actually. So that whole point of addressing all these issues in mental health also it's also started from her because that was her youngest brother who passed away. My issues are all within myself, and my mom also didn't see it until I told her about it, right? And also she's a bit more concerned after that. So
How did she react to it, if you don't mind sharing?
I think she asked me what did I find out after so long. I said I actually don't know why. Mom, it's like maybe I'm a bit dumb. I think she was just a bit surprised.
Yeah.
I think all mothers would be surprised what you went through.
I
But
see you every day, and then suddenly,
yeah,
huh? You've been going through
I
this.
think that's the issue with all these mental health thing, right? Like,
More for men, I would
man,
say.
yes, you don't know what they're going through. They look good, you know. You see them, oh, you look good, and I say, yeah, I look good. But inside my brain and my head, the voice in my head is like, "Nah, I feel like shit. I don't want to see anyone." And I think those are among men. You'll be surprised. There's a lot of self doubt, and we're fighting like doubts within ourselves, whether it's at work, in fitness, relationships. But we also have to be on that firm side, right? I'm gonna fight this. We're gonna get through the day, and that's when the masculine energy also comes in because you're firm. You're ready to fight. You're ready to struggle. But that find that nice balance, lah. You
Yeah.
know, struggle. It's tough. You know, it's really tough. I can run 100 kilometer, for example, but how do I feel after that? It's absolutely devastating, right? But who do I do it for? For example, I ran 100 kilometer for this lady called Fowles. She had cancer. You know, she was abused by her husband, so her mental health issue kind of transition or like manifested to breast cancer. So my 100 kilometer run was for her to raise awareness on that intersection between mental health and physical health,
For sure, yeah.
and to raise funds for her. So she's now she has some funds to go through a cancer treatment. So yeah, so these are the kind of things that you don't really see what's going on. I think it's very hard to judge people. And you have to have a conversation with them. You have to connect with them, establish that trust as well.
Yeah.
So I think that at that point, my mom was quite surprised when I told her that have this body image issue and what I went through before. I think a lot of my friends was like, you had that? We didn't know. I said, I didn't know either
Yeah.
until like 2 years ago when I started reading stuff on eating disorder. There's like descriptions of it and like definitions of
Like,
it.
oh, I feel in the
Oh wow, this was me 3 years ago. I didn't know that, but it's good to know. At least now you know. I thought purging was fine. You know, I thought puking your food out was fine, but it's actually not. You know, it's actually very bad for you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Were you also, I mean, Were you also one of those that was into all those protein shakes and
Oh yeah, I was.
okay.
I drank a lot of. I still take some supplement. I don't take protein anymore. I don't digest it very well,
Mhm.
but I do take a lot of protein. I think last time I had 4 scoops of protein. Last time, 2 whey protein and 2 casein protein. Yeah, casein
Those big
protein.
cups, right?
Yeah, the big tubs. The casein protein, you have to take it before you sleep, apparently, because it digests overnight.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, whey protein, very fast absorbing. So I did all this research,
Mm.
to research more on nutrition and how it will help you build your muscle. So I guess I have like a dictionary here, like all the how to build your muscle 101 in my brain already, because I watch so much YouTube.
There's so much information out there, and like you have all these bros that are telling you that, oh, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, or
Mhm.
whatnot to make sure that you're in the fittest form.
I
But how do you
use it.
know which
How do you
one,
know?
which information to take, or which one that you're like, okay, no, you know?
The thing
Because
is, you don't know. You know, there's so many people out there, influencers, fitness trainers,
yeah.
and it's all very context dependent,
Mm.
right? They might say this is the best exercise for your legs, but for what purpose you're asking
Or
for?
even if some of them are attached to certain brands, of course they will tell you that that brand is good, right?
Of
But whether
course,
it
yeah,
really
yeah.
is or not is a different thing.
Yeah, so it's a bit hard to answer your question. What to filter out and who do you go for? But some of the most qualified guys also don't know how to convey that information, and it's very hard, on all this social media. It's also very hard for you to come. You have like a few minutes, less than 1 minute, 30 seconds. Like you
Some
see
people
things,
swipe already.
you see a lot of things like you'll be surprised. You have the humans right now. We have an attention span of an ant.
Yeah, yeah.
Very small attention span. Like we just swipe, swipe, swipe. It's a bit crazy. But you also see things as well on this topic of like social media and what to filter out. You see things like top 5 signs you have ADHD.
Yeah, my
So
God.
these are kind of things that these are the kind of things that it's not that great for you.
Mm.
Although it's on TikTok, educational. So where I'm coming from is when you see these facts, you gotta go verify it for sure. Read
Yeah.
somewhere, when it comes to whether it's a mental health or wellness, go and do your research, because what may work for you may not be working for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That's true.
that's maybe you see where he's coming from is top 5 best exercise for him. Obviously, maybe he's taller. I'm a short guy, I'm 5'7".
That was
This guy is like 6'10", maybe. So maybe his legs he can do a whole big squat. So that kind of thing. So I think it's all a lot of context dependent. You have to give the rationale, then you have to do your research, outside research, your own research, or whether it's good for you or not. So
so it's
that's
really about continuously learning.
everyone should employ that
Mm.
continuous learning principle, being a sponge to learn. I think you and I are no different. Always trying to explore possibilities, new ideas, creative guys.
I've seen
So
your reels. You've also gotten much more creative, different camera angles and stuff.
yeah.
Physical fitness is a buffer against anxiety and depression. What was the beginning of you running all of these marathons and going in that direction, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not the typical thing. Sometimes some people would, okay, I go volunteer at this NGO or whatnot. But
Yeah.
this sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I always wanted to give back,
Mm.
and I'm not a guy who's gonna give back through doing desk work. I'm sorry. So I started my first marathon 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to this new world of marathons, and this since going to the mental health space, I was thinking we need to address some issues here. And I guess going back to why I started the movement is I see a lot of people complaining, including myself, every day complaining. Wow, so much depression. Wow, so much this, so much that. I'm just like, so at one point I told myself, today's the day that I start something. So how can I start something, right? So many NGOs out there. Can I start an NGO? I'll probably go broke starting an NGO. So I decided, I'm good at fitness. I have good connections out there. So let's try to see what we can do with how to use fitness to give back. The easiest way to bring people together, running. It's free. So much space in Malaysia. Singapore is accessible, so we start running in Singapore and Malaysia to give back. So raise funds for the first stint. Our first campaign was with Malaysian Mental Health Association. I think we raised about 35,000 just from
Yeah.
within one day. I think in September 2 years ago, we ran about 5,000 kilometers.
Crazy.
Consolidated. Yeah, all of us like consolidated. We ran. That day itself, I ran a 60 along with other guys running with me. So that was a joint campaign between two running clubs, Weekends Athletics here and Fast and Free in Singapore. It was supposed to be a one-off movement actually. It was like you know what, we're just gonna do this, raise some funds and call it off. But then I started getting a lot of messages like, you're doing good. Can I actually run for this campaign? Can I also raise money for other people? Then one thing led to another. I did more campaigns. So after that run we had in September, we started this thing called Resilience Loop. It means that sometimes in life you're caught in like a circle, you can't get out of this loop. Require resilience from yourself and support from others to get through this. So we ran the circle line. So it's a loop. We ran a circle line in Singapore. So we raised some funds as well for MMHA. And after that, we did something with Do You Mind Singapore.
Okay. Yeah.
Do You Mind Singapore is a mental health literacy youth provider through virtual reality programs. Very interesting. Provide these virtual reality headsets to kids on how you can go through. It's very gamified. Also, these kids have to choose like, oh, what do I do now? What do I do now? Am I going through something?
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming. When I went in there, I was like, whoa, if I had this thing, I'll be more self-aware of what I went through last time. Like I said, less stigma, right? Because all these resources they have now.
Yeah.
So we raised some funds for them as well on that front. So those are the big two campaigns. So we would host runs, do CrossFit events, indoor cycling. We'll invite mental health professionals like yourself to come and speak at all our events, have like sponsors coming in, all through people raising funds through our events.
Yeah.
And a lot of awareness building, communities built, have a platform for NGOs.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a middleman to connect people who want to support other people. Beyond mental health, we started doing more than mental health. We did things for modern slavery.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
modern slavery.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So addressing all these issues, raising awareness on that front, Palestinian children, raise funds for them. But all of this, you can see Miles for Minds is on the basis of it is mental health.
Yeah.
And after that, it branches out to others. But the whole point is we are using fitness to help the world, make the world a better place through what we love doing, simply by just moving your bodies. Surrounding yourself with people who are also trying to improve themselves physically, and also not just physically but mentally. It's a very nice thing to have. You might think like, oh, they're there, they think they're better than you or whatnot, but they're actually there to build a supportive community together. So and a common goal that we're all suffering, we're all doing our own thing, we all have our own journeys, but we're all here for each other. It's a very nice thing to have, especially that's why the run clubs are so popular now.
Yeah.
You see a lot of run clubs out there. Number one, it's free. Number two, community building is such a big thing, you know.
Yeah. My friend, when it went to the Stand Chart Marathon, emotionally, I wasn't up for it on the day itself, but she made sure I got there. Like, she went with me. Something she said, which was so profound. There was like all that whole mass of people, going to run. I was just trying to convince her to go for breakfast. But she told me, she's like, Alia, each and everyone here, they are going through something or they are struggling with something, yet they have shown up here to run.
Runners are very different breed, I think, compared to the normal bodybuilding that I mentioned. Runners have to go through a certain level of struggle every day. They have to wake up a certain time. They have to train. Their resilience is something different.
Yeah.
You can feel since running, I think it has helped improve my resilience a lot, my patience to deal with some people. Deal with bosses, last time. I mean, for example, I ran 100 kilometers, right? Nothing can kill me anymore. Your boss shout at you, your mom scold you. I say, I'm
You have
sorry.
a higher resilience, basically.
Pain tolerance higher as well. For example, when I'm in a traffic jam and this guy is like showing me a middle finger, right? Oh, you cut my way, I'm cutting your way, that kind of thing. You just don't have energy for that. Like you're so
I'll
tired,
save this for running.
Yeah, exactly. Save that for more, not just for running, for more important tasks that requires your energy. Mental health is also about prioritizing. And if you don't know how to prioritize, I'm sorry, my friend, you are a bit, you're getting out there already. And I'm not to say like I'm the best at prioritizing. I'm still learning, but prioritizing a task means what your energy should be going for, heading towards,
Yeah.
So
That's a very real thing. How much energy do you put into a situation that maybe you can control versus what you can't control?
Exactly.
And that also feeds into wellness, right? Because you want to make sure you have enough energy for the things that matter.
For sure. Yeah, there's only so much energy you can give. All right. So it's just, and there's only so much time you have within a day. So you just have to be precious with it. Running has really set that tone for me. Since doing running, we are venturing to other things like
Yeah.
rowing. I do
Dragon boat ah.
no, the dragon.
Why
Dragon.
not everyone wants
Don't put ideas. Don't put my ideas to my head. Sooner or later, all of us will do dragon.
the dragon boat? Okay, no joke.
No, it's not. It's the row machine.
Ah, the
Yeah,
rowing
the rowing
machine.
machine. Do a marathon there. So since I got involved in running, I just putting all these crazy things in my head. Why run when you can row?
Dragon
Run
boat.
can
Next thing I'll see you,
bike.
Putrajaya there. You'll be doing it.
48-hour dragon boat, right? But say the next campaign is we don't run anymore.
We
We
roll.
row. We row on in the in Putrajaya. Why not, right?
Yeah.
MMHA would enjoy it, I think. Different, something different.
Pretty different. Sure. Cultural some more,
Cultural, that's true. Okay.
So, what advice or would you give to people who want to kind of go towards having slightly more awareness or maybe even just building their fitness, right?
Yeah.
What
I think to build your fitness in the first instance is know
Mhm.
what you want. When I first started, just want to look good, right? But right now, I want to perform as much as I can. Depends what I'm training for. If I want to train for CrossFit, then I'm training for that. From there, sign up to a local gym. There are many gyms in Malaysia. Get into that community that you like. If it's running that you like, there are many run clubs in Malaysia, from Weekends Athletics to Godspeed to Journey Run Club. If running is your goal, then you should go towards them. Surround yourself with great people, community, and from there you can build more knowledge, read some books, read some information online, test it on yourself, verify, and then you should be all ready to go.
And
Yeah.
what about when it comes to men's mental health? It's still a topic which not many men are comfortable addressing. What would you say to the macho ones or the ones who are acting macho?
Of course, we have to be macho, but I would also say that speak to your friends, your guy friends, your bros, your dad, because you may never know what they're going through.
Mm,
Um, for men, we tend to keep quiet about a lot of things.
mm,
Whether it's keeping quiet among our peers, whether it's with men or women, both the same. Sometimes if you just want to keep quiet, we will, but I would tell everyone to speak up when they can and find that level of trust within a person, a friend. I have a few selected friends that I like to speak to, and it makes me feel like I'm speaking to my therapist. And also, if you need to see someone, don't be afraid to go and see a therapist, because I also see a therapist when I need to. Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you need to let things out, and they have this tendency to listen better, give proper advice, and they're also science driven. I went through a psychotherapy, something different, right? Like a few months ago at Relife in PJ. So his name is Joyce, my psychotherapist, and she said, "So what do you want to talk about today?" It's like, let's start with some of the issues. I told her I feel pressured a bit. Then it's like, "Oh, what do you think that?" Oh, I was like, I don't know why I feel that. You tell me.
The classic example.
You tell me.
His parents to come out and be like, "Oh, I feel this or that," but you tell me that. You tell me what to do. That it always starts off like that,
So
But kudos, you guys show up still.
yeah. So then she started digging in a bit. Who do you feel pressured by? I don't think it's your family. Then we start digging in, brainstorming a bit. It's not opening up your mind, slowly and slowly. And then like she's like, actually, you're having a bad, bad conversation with your 14-year-old self.
The critical self-talk lah. Your inner child.
My inner child who who started bodybuilding. Who just first started bodybuilding, not feeling good enough, not feeling good in the mirror. So she said, you need to speak to him. My psychotherapist is sitting here, I'm sitting here, and there was a chair in front of me, like right here. It's like, okay, right now, I'm gonna put your younger self here. What would you like to say to him? So that really, wow. So then I started opening up. It's like, you are a horrible guy. Why do you feel like that? Like, no, then after that, get everything out, and then at the end it's like, I'm very grateful for you. What we went through was what you went through was not the best, but I give it to you.
Yeah.
That you went through something and you managed to get through it with willpower. Then we turned the tables around. It's like, so what would you like to say to me? And then that your current self lah. So we said like, oh, you've grown well. You've done a lot of things to get to where you are today, and just keep going. Never give up. So that that really opened my mind. And then following that, she hypnotized me a bit, closed my eyes, and I actually felt like I was in space for a bit. Yeah, like she gave me some kind of drug, but she didn't. She just closed my eyes and she said, "Now imagine that you are letting go of your past. You are a free man, moving on." Well, it gave me some aromatherapy as well, like some oil, essential oil on the side, so the smell is really good. And wow, that was a very eye-opening session for me. And I think these kind of sessions would help men a lot. I very much am certain, especially those athletes or like high performance guys at work, bankers, lawyers, every day working, you have no time to like speak your mind out. Speaking to a therapist
Right.
would help a lot lah. You'd be surprised, maybe you just have to find one
Yeah.
that's really good as well. Like so, like going back to that trust level with a friend, right? Therapist is no different. And you said like before in Malaysia they always switch therapists within psychiatrists, psychiatrists, yeah. So it's always good to have one and just keep going to him or her
Yeah.
when you need to seek for help lah. Yeah.
It's very important to have that level of comfort. And I love what you shared. Maybe we can discuss it in a future episode. It'd be great
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I think a lot of people out there are also not aware that it's not just talk therapy. Like what you went through, there's also a little bit of these different methods, and there's visualization or mindfulness, some aspects of those, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's great to hear. If some people also want to get involved with what you do in terms of the running and the marathons, so how can they?
Yeah,
How
you
can
can
they get started?
reach out to me on my socials, on LinkedIn. Can get the phone number from the it's okay.
Instagram, I'll put his tag.
It's okay, we can collaborate together there. But sooner or later we're gonna make a website for like socials for that movement itself. Moving forward, it's quite hard because we don't have much resources right now. But I think moving on, I'm gonna dedicate a lot of the philanthropic work there.
Yeah.
As I see a lot of DMs asking about how can I get involved more. Instead of just reaching out to me, probably it's better to just reach out to another page
Yeah.
which specializes in that all the philanthropic
Yeah.
work lah. So it's probably going to be like a lot of related to mental health services, educational, teaching you how to get through your day, a lot of wellness driven lah. Like,
Which we didn't touch on yet, but we will in a future episode. Okay. Because Brandon is always so super busy. So when you are free next, you let me know, and
sure.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
No
time
worries,
today.
yeah.
And hope you like this episode. Do let us know your comments. Are you a man also who's struggling with mental health? Feel free to reach out. We do not judge.
I'm no therapist or whatsoever, but
But he can give you the macho manly advice.
I'm here to give you
Tell you when something has went askew, right?
here to have a helping ear. I always have to caveat that to people that I'm no therapist.
Yeah.
Just have a helping ear if you need. I'll advocate for fitness always. It helps you make you feel better.
He will
For sure.
run with you.
Carry you and run.